Hey guys, it's Aubrey with Muttley Plans. I hope everybody's having a fantastic day today. This is just a quick reading journal plan with me. I did read A Court of Wings, wow, words are hard, Wings and Ruin by Sarah J. Maas. I have been working my way through this series. Full disclosure, I did read this book I think last month. It's been a while since I completed it. I just haven't gotten around to doing my actual reading journal with it until today. And even then, I think I started it maybe a week ago, this whole setup process, and then I took a break because I got pretty busy last week, and then I finished it up today, the 22nd, I think. So, but overall, it was a pretty good book. I can't really complain too terribly much. What I decided to do as far as deco is just this nice little floral. I did try to kind of match that very hot pink color that is the book cover. So that's why I pulled in all of these florals. Additionally, I did feel like these florals fit well with the book itself, just because it is talking about fairies and half of the book is spent in the summer court. So, or well, maybe not half, maybe like a third of the book, but either way, a decent portion of the book is spent in the summer court. So I felt like these flowers, the colors of them and everything, just kind of gave off a summer court vibe. The book cover is printed off using my HP sprocket. I do really enjoy that. It's a good buy if you are looking for a small printer to print off small photos. I use it in my planner, in my journals. I also, as you can see here, use it in my reading journal. It's very handy. I just go on Pinterest and I find the picture that I'm wanting and I pop it in there. As you see, my Mahjong did not want to work for me, so I did have to go in with my handy dandy pin from Chirps and Cheers and put in my lines for this setup. I was really wanting to put quite a few of these floral elements in here just because, well, honestly, I love these colors. I love the dark and muted colors, if that makes sense. And I apologize, you can't see the top of it. I promise I pull it down. You're not missing a whole lot. So just bear with me if you would. When I was doing this first half of the, journaling process, the setup, if you will, I was trying to do a little differently with my camera, or do things a little differently with my camera, I should say, and try to get y'all in a little bit more close. Because I was like, I don't know if they're appreciating how far away, but I believe I've pretty much decided I'm just going to have to zoom out a little bit more because I cannot trust myself to actually stay in frame on what I'm doing on these. So I apologize. I do correct it here in a few minutes. I did use these dots again for my rating. At first, I gave it a 4 out of 5 stars. I will say I do go back and change it because as I got to writing my thoughts down about this book, I realized that the rating that I gave it needed to change, which we'll get into when I get to the writing portion of today's video. As far as spice, I did give it a 3. It's got very much adult aspects to it, but it's barely in there, if that makes sense. So I would equate it to kind of maybe a PG-13 situation. Anyway, so that's why I gave the spice a 3. I'm sure some people could argue, no, it's definitely a 4 or a 5. But for me, anyway, it felt like a 3, which I'm okay with. I'm definitely one of those individuals. I like a little bit of spice, but I don't need to know all of the dirty laundry. I do have an imagination. So, going into the writing portion of this, as embarrassing as it is, I did wind up stopping pretty close to the beginning of my, putting down my thoughts. And then I didn't finish putting down my thoughts until a week later. I think I stopped about right here, and I believe it's because my friend showed up at the house, and so I got to hang out with her, and then I just got busy during the week. So, yeah. And then now we've switched, and this is what I put in today. I did finish my thoughts, and like I said, as I went through my thoughts, my rating of this book actually changed. And I don't know if I'm the only one, but I'll finish a book and, I might think a little bit about the book, but I don't really process how I feel about it until I actually put it in writing. And I do that a lot with pretty much anything in my life. If I don't get a chance to process it through writing, then I don't fully process whatever's going on, if that makes sense. So anyway, I did put in my thoughts on this book. I am probably about to talk a little bit about spoilers, especially that I put down on the page. This is my actual reading journal, so of course I'm going to talk about pretty much whatever I want as far as how I felt about the book and stuff. And I will say the first third of this book captured my attention much better than the last 2/3. Pretty much that first third, it was kind of your I got you, the justice of it all moment. And I appreciated that because the second book ended and I was so angry at Tamlin. I felt betrayed. It was just awful, which is of course what the author wanted, I'm sure. And so the first of the book is all about Farah going in and just basically imploding the spring court, Tamlin's court. And it was chef's kiss, I'm not gonna lie. I definitely appreciated it, and I liked how the whole plot kind of developed through that, and it was nice. And you had some bad things happen in the first third of this book, and you got the satisfaction of the bad guys kind of getting their butts handed to them. It was wonderful. So first third, phenomenal. And then I also kind of had a little bit of sympathy for Tamlin, but not enough to where it wasn't satisfying. I definitely understand heartbreak and everything, and so I kind of empathize with him a little bit on that. But regardless, that doesn't give him the license to act as poorly as he acts, if that makes sense. And while he does kind of sort of have a little bit of a reasoning behind some of the stuff that he did, in my opinion, it still wasn't enough. And yeah, anyway, I'll just leave that there. So that was my thoughts on the first third. And then when we get into the last two thirds, and this is where my rating of this book actually went down a little bit. I decided to change it, I think, to 3 stars. And it's because I felt like the whole last two thirds, or at least the last half of this book, were very much, honestly, too perfect. Like, everything seemed to come together in the nick of time without any, like, talk of logistics, no communication on all of the parties involved, but somehow, amazingly, you know, everybody showed up, and then all of a sudden, oh my goodness, we won this battle against all odds, and it was too clean, it was too perfect. And yeah, you lost, like, I think one person, but it was too perfect. And I don't like when stuff like that happens. Maybe that's not a good sign for me, but I wanted a little bit more friction, you know, a little bit more realism when it comes to battle, than what the ending of this book kind of gave me. Because and I don't watch a ton of anime or anything, but it honestly, the ending of it kind of reminded me of anime. Like, I don't watch a ton of Naruto or anything, but like, it just kind of gave me the thoughts of that. If that, I don't know how to put that into words. Like, just, you're in a battle, and then all of a sudden, in the nick of time, like, all of these things slide into place, and then all of a sudden your disadvantage is completely wiped off the map. And the battle that was supposed to be, like, against all odds and tough for you becomes unbelievably easy. There's not a ton of hardship. It's just, yeah, I don't know. I just wanted a little bit more from the ending than what I got in this book. And so as I was processing all of that, I went back and I changed my rating of it, because I was just thinking through, and I was like, you know, like, I thoroughly enjoyed the first third of this book, but then, like, the last half of the book was a little bit, it was missing something. It was too perfect, and we don't need perfect, because, well, I don't know. I wanted something more. So, that was me writing all about that. Yeah, I don't know. Let me know if you've read this book, if you've read this series. Let me know in the comments, like, how you feel about it. Like, do you agree? Do you feel like the ending was too perfect? Or do you feel like it kind of was what you were looking for as a reader? I'm really interested, because I did surprise myself in changing my rating, you know, after I processed it. I was very surprised that I wanted to change my rating, because I had, before processing it, thought, this was a really good, enjoyable book. It was fantastic. And it was still enjoyable, but it just wasn't like a 4 or 5 star read for me. It was more of, like, middle of the road. Like, I'm not sad that I read it, but it also didn't knock my socks off. The quote that I chose was a quote between Reese and Farah. And if I'm being honest, I don't remember who exactly said it. I want to say that it was Farah saying it to Reese, but it says, "I see all of you, and there is not one part of you that I don't love." And I thought that was so beautiful, because it's so true about any relationship and any Especially, romantic relationship and stuff. That's how it should be. You should see your other person, your significant other. Anyway, so this is my reading journal. Hopefully I didn't, ramble on too terribly much for y'all. I'm going to give you a quick close-up. I don't think I mentioned it earlier, but the pen that I'm using is my Jinhao Century 100 in colorway Guava, and the ink that I used was Van Diemen's Hummingbird Wing.